Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 3 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 3 math and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter multiplication skill builders. The lesson we're going to start with is multiply by 7. Multiply by 8. Let's just start with the lesson. So, we know how to multiply, right? We have already covered so many lessons from the chapter. Just the numbers are same, the concept is exactly the same, right? So, basically, the multiplications are same as repeated additions, right? For example, here you have 8 times 4. So, that means you can add 8 4 times or 4 8 times, right? Either you do 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 4, 8 plus 8, like you add 8 4 times or you add 4 8 times. So for both the sums, the answer are exactly same, right? That would be 32. But for the smaller number, it's okay. You can add 4 8 times or 8 4 times. But for the greater numbers, for two digit and three digit number, this concept is like adding again and again is difficult, right? So that's why we need to learn the multiplication tables. So they are very easy. If you still haven't started with the multiplication tables, you can do one table a day, right? So 8 times 4 is 32. Let's just start with the test questions. Okay, 8 times 1. 8 times 1 is 8. Any number multiplied by 1 is exactly the same answer. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 0. So any number multiplying with 0 means the answer is 0. So 8 times 0 is 0. Option number 2 is the correct option. 8 times 3. So you can add 3 times 8 3 times or 3 8 times. So 8 times 3 is 24. Option number 1 is the correct option. 10 times 8 is 80. Option number 2 is the correct option. 8 times 4 is 32. It is option number 1 is the correct option. 8 times 5, which is the correct option. 8 times 5 is 40. Option is the correct option. 2 times 8 is 16. Option number 1 is the correct option. Let's just start with the next one. The next one is multiply by 9. 8 times 9 is 72. It is. Let's just start with the test questions. 9 times 8 is 9 times 8 is 72. Option number 2 is the correct option. Option number 2 is the correct option. 8 times 9 is 8 times 9 is 72. Option number 1 is the correct option. 9 times 0 is 9 times 0 is 0. Option number 2 is the correct option. 9 times 5 is 45 it is. Option number 1 is the correct option. 9 times 4 is 9 times 4 is 36. Option number 2 is the correct option. Zero times 9 is 0. Option number 1 is the correct option. 9 times 7 is 63. Option number 2 is the correct option. Option number 2 is the correct option. 9 times 3 is nine times 3 is 27. Option number 1 is the correct option. 3 times 9. 3 times 9 is 27. Option number 2 is the correct option. 9 times 1 is 9 times 1 is 9. Option number 2 is the correct option. 9 times 5 is 9 times 5 is 45. Option number 1 is the correct option. 7 times 9 is 7 times 9 is 63. Option number 2 is the correct option. 10 times 9 is 90. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. The next lesson is multiply by 10. 10 times 9. So the multiplication table for 10 is very easy because we know that when we multiply any number by 1, the number stays the same. So you need to add a 0. Like 10 times 9. 9 times 1 is 9. And we have a 0 with 10. So you need to add a 0. So that is 90. Let's just start with the test questions. 10 times 3. 10 times 3 is 30. Option number 1 is the correct option. 10 times 9 is 90. It is option number 2 is the correct option. 90 it is. 10 times 8 is 80. It is because 8 times 1 is 8. You can add a 0 so that it makes 80. Option number 1 is the correct option. 10 times 8 is 80. 10 times 1 is 10 times 1 is 10. Option number 2 is the correct option. Three times 10 is 30. It is option number 1 is the correct option. Nine times 10 is 10 times 9 is 90. Option number 2 is the correct option. Six times 10 is 60. Option number 1 is the correct option. 60 it is. 10 times 2 is 10 times 2 is 20. Option number 1 is the correct option. Ten times 0 is 0. Option number 2 is the correct option. Seven times 10 is 70. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. The next lesson is multiply by 11. 11 times 10 is 110. Let's just start with the test questions. Eleven times 2 is 11 times 2 is 22. Option number 2 is the correct option. 11 times 2 is 22. It is option number 2 is the correct option. 11 times 7 it is. That is 77. Option number 1 is the correct option. 11 times 7 is 77. It is option number 2 is the correct option. 6 times 11 is 66. It is option number 2 is the correct option. 5 times 11 is 55. Option number 2 is the correct option. 11 times 6 is 66. It is option number 2 is the correct option. 11 times 10 is 110. Option number 2 is the correct option. 11 times 3 is 33. It is option number 2 is the correct option. 11 times 7 is 77. It is option number 2 is the correct option. 11 times 11 is 121. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, we are done with the lesson. The last of the chapter is multiply by just 0 times 12 is 0 it is. Let's just start with the test questions. 12 times 2 is 24 it is. Option number 2 is the correct option. 12 times 8 is 96 it is. Option number 1 is the correct option. 12 times 0 is 0. Option number 2 is the correct option. 1 times 12 is 1 times 12 is 12. Option number 1 is the correct option. 12 times 10 is 120. You can simply do 1 times 12. 1 times 12 is 12 and you can add 0. So that makes 120. 7 times 12 is 84. It is option number 1 is the correct option. 12 times 9 is that is 108. Option number 1 is the correct option. 12 times 6 is 72, it is option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 3 math chapter we were working on is multiplication skill builders. The lessons we have covered today are multiply by 8, multiply by 9, multiply by 10, multiply by 11, and multiply by 12. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of the lessons, you can simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help you. Or either you can write the box. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions. If box, I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. Questions. Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye.